It's just really crazy to think about the fact that we all know we're going to die, and we all know that there's our potential on the table, and yet we're going to do nothing about it. We're still going to go do a 9 to 5, sit at a cubicle and come home and eat Cheetos and watch Netflix and repeat. For me personally, I'd rather be dead. I feel so much compassion for those people. Like, I understand life is hard and like there's certain things that brought them into that circumstance. I just can't wrap my brain around it, knowing that even if there's such a small thing you can do, you're wrapped up with college student loans, you're wrapped up, you have a family, you have a ton of debt, you have all this stuff going on with your relationships, some of your family members have passed away. Like, shit's really hard, and I get it, but you know that there are things you can do and you're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't make sense to me, right? Even if it's making your bed in the morning, and that's where you have to start.
Yeah.
Even if it's working out for 10 minutes a day, and that's where you start to make your life better, to be happier, to be more fulfilled, and you're not doing it, that's what doesn't make any sense to me. Let's get this bad boy on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 11. Why do I never know? 12? One of these days, I'm going to know what episode we're on. We're on either episode 11 or 10. Back with my boy, Yvonne.
Last time we did it, we were on 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I posted that?
You tell me.
I think I don't know. Whatever. Who cares?
Whatever.
If you're watching this, you'll know because I'll have it edited and there'll be the number
Episode
next to it.
47.
Yeah, it'll be like episode 17 and I'll be like, welcome to episode 12. Anyways, what's up, man? How's your daughter?
She's been good.
That's nice.
Yeah. Life's been good. But no, recently, now that I could work out to a higher extent, I've been focusing on that so much. So then it's just kind of leeching, and I mean, we were talking about it last time, but it's just going into other areas of my life. And one thing I'm really doing is just all day listening to good words from people, the motivational videos. There's just no way around it. The power of influence, dude. If you constantly are being fed with messages that are positive and good for you and motivational and inspirational and healthy, is it a surprise to you that you're going to feel good? It's like summertime now, and I've been spending so much time in nature, and it's just a different way your mind starts to think. Like, you can't match it with anything else.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, and life is like a fucking equation, dude. It's like, it's so simple to understand, but yet very hard to execute on because we have emotions and things that get in the way. But do things that make you feel good and you'll feel good.
Yeah.
It's like, do X, Y, and Z that you know will make you feel good and you'll feel good. I understand like curing things like depression are as simple as go outside in nature. But like, you know what I mean?
One thing that I was reading about today and I really learned was like, you can never stop learning.
Yeah.
Like, once you stop learning, that's when the depression arises.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Because you don't see any purpose on, like, for me, when I look at failures, I look at, like, the reasoning why, and I'm trying to learn from it.
Yeah.
But when you just look at the failure for what it is, like, that you failed, then that's when you become sad. Rather than just looking at it like...
Do you think it's a matter of focusing on what you can control versus what you can't? Do you also think it's, I mean, for me, that's what I think of. And I also think of like, first of all, like I said, your focus is on things that you have no control over, right? So you're going to feel hopeless. But number two is your mind is living in the past, right? Because when you're focusing on things you can't control, you're usually focusing on things that already happened, right? But when you're focusing on what you can control, your focus is shifted towards the present because it's what you have to do in the present moment, right? So your focus is shifted from the past into the present, and you're also focusing on things you can't control, which simultaneously changes how you feel, you know?
So you think when you fail and you take that lesson from it, it just puts you into the present. Yeah.
But I mean, the failure is the constant in the situation, right? Yeah. But the thing that changes is how you manage that failure, right? Because let's say you and I, like the good example is there can be two people who are twins, right? And they grow up the exact same way with the exact same DNA and genetics, whatever, to a certain extent, we know, whatever. But in this hypothetical, you have the same parents, same experiences, same everything, and they're going to come out with two very, very different outcomes, right? Somebody can have an alcoholic father, and the two siblings have the same father that treated them the same way, and one person goes on to become another alcoholic and lives on the street, and the other person is an advocate for alcoholism awareness, right? And you have the two very different perspectives, but that's really just a matter of how you handled that failure, right? It's an example for the same thing. And you can focus on what you can't control, which is your dad did this to you, your life was terrible, woe is me, God hates me, the universe hates me, or whatever you want to say. Or you can focus on, okay, God, the universe, whatever, gifted me with this situation to now be able to help millions and millions of people who grew up similarly or have dealt with alcoholism themselves or whatever, right? But they went through the same situation.
Yeah.
One person focused on what they can't control and stuck themselves in the past and continued to remain there. And one person shifted themselves into the present moment and said, how can I use this for me? How can I use this to help other people? How can I use this to serve? Yeah. And so I think the combination of focus,
depending on the focus that you put on it, it creates the questions that you start trying to answer.
Yeah, questions, dude.
And I think that's what I'm trying to get at with learning is, and you put a good point with focus, but when you're trying to focus on something, no matter what it is, you're going to start to think questions. We good? Yes. Yeah, you start to think questions about it, and then if it's a empowering question, you're going to learn from it and just be able to give to the world so much more.
Right.
But what have you been up to?
Not much. The thing that's honestly been pressing on my mind a lot recently was, so there's a couple aspects to this. There's a couple different angles that I've been thinking about this situations rather. But recently I hit 250,000 followers on TikTok, right? So, it's kind of like, it's a milestone where you're like, you could say 250,000, like that's a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody actually was talking to me about the other day. Like a lot of people gas me up for it, compliment me for it, and it feels nice. I'm going to get into that, why it feels nice actually in a second. But she was like, yeah, like imagine how many like rocks are out here in this. And she was in some rocky area or whatever. Like there's so many rocks. And she's like, there's not even close to 250,000. I'm like, holy shit, that's a lot of fucking people, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like thinking about like how many people, how many stadiums I feel like, I'm like, whoa, like that's fucking, like that's crazy. Like that's a lot of fucking people that are like interested in self-improvement. That's fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because like originally when I went to social media, I was expecting nobody to give a fuck because it's like positive stuff. People care. People want to make their lives better. It's like, that's fucking amazing. But it made me think about it because I've always been like, no, anytime I feel good about the number of followers I have, I always just shut myself down. I'm like, no, that's ego. Mm-hmm. I'm not going down this road. I'm not going to attach my sense of self-worth to the number of followers I have or whatever. And I realized, but I still feel this deep sense of meaning and fulfillment from it. And I'm like, why though? It's attached to a number, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I broke it down a bit after I hit 250,000 the other day. And I was like, oh shit, like it's not the fact that I have this many people following me, right? It's not that I have the significance attached to it, although it does. Mm-hmm. What really is meaningful to me is what I just said, which is there's that many people out there that are deeply interested in making their lives better. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's fucking amazing.
You had the same equation, you just focused on a different part of it.
Exactly. The same, right? Which is it's a matter of perspective, and it feels. I mean, what it mostly feels is fucking surreal. Like it feels like, when like you're sitting there and you're like, God, this is real life, That's kind of what it feels like. It's like 250,000, that's a lot of fucking people, you know what I mean? Like, and I started less than a year ago. Who the fuck would have thought of that? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it just, I feel so grateful, that I'm like, I can be the catalyst that God is using.
Has it made you more grateful since you reached that?
Yeah.
In what ways?
It's just a matter of perspective, what I'm focusing on, right? Because I was so like against it to the point where I was thinking like, I shouldn't feel good. I don't deserve to feel good because I have a lot of followers.
Negative self-talk.
Yeah. But I think, which was ironically coming from a good place of protect yourself from attaching your sense of self-worth to that, which I still have to do. You know what I mean? Like you can get caught up in the trap of, you don't feel great about yourself, but 250K, let me flex that. That's the difference, right? That's not why I feel good about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just like this many people care about their lives. Like that's fucking insane. Like that's insanity. I started less than a year ago. That's insanity. But that was just a tiny aspect of what, that was a big rabbit hole of what was going on. But I watch a lot of Gary Vee, right? And he's the one that got me into social media, partially to building my brand and just spreading the message. And one of the things he gets asked about a lot, especially from people who are like famous and are trying to deal with the fame and learn how to deal with the new fame, like Charli D'Amelio and whatnot. And they ask him, they're like, how do you deal with all the hate comments? And the way he deals with it is empathy. That's what he says. He's like, listen, I don't like if you're taking the time to respond to me hatefully on my comment, in my comment sections, like you're probably going through something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And not for nothing, most of you, 99% of you probably wouldn't say that to my face. You know what I mean? It's because you want significance. Again, same thing, empathy. I feel bad. You know what I mean? Like there's probably something going on if you're trying to just throw hate just to be hateful. But that's essentially what I try to go into my comment sections with the mindset of, right? Mm-hmm. Because I mean, I don't really care about comments, but when people comment under my videos, I want to build relationships with the people that are constantly interacting with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good thing to do, not only for myself, but for everybody else. And when I started to do that, I get so many hate comments. Like I did not expect any of this. And I like didn't realize like this many people would like fucking throw shade at me and like roast me and whatever, like for anything and everything, how I look to what I'm saying, to how I'm saying it, like everything. And I've tried going into the mindset of, okay, most of the people who are hating on me and shit, I'm not going to respond to. Maybe I'll respond to a couple if they're constructive, but for the most part, empathy and not respond. But I do want to respond to the positive ones, people who are, you know, actually leaving something meaningful in my comment section. But you're obviously still going to read the hateful comments. So I tried doing the whole empathy thing that Gary Vee talks about, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Like, it was getting to me, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, just I'm empathetic. And like, I would run through the motions in my head of like, he's probably going through something, whatever, but he's fucking making fun of my eyebrows or something. And I'm like, fuck. I don't know what to do. But then the other day, what I realized was it's just because I'm being so inauthentic. That's what I think is why I actually feel bad.
In what?
Because when people are commenting those things, it's not that like I want to say something back. You know what I mean? It's not that I want to retaliate. I want to make that clear. But like, if somebody's going to make a joke about me, I'll play into it, right? Or like, your eyebrows look stupid, and I'll like make a comment back. Maybe roast myself. Maybe like say something like funny, a little silly, right? And I realized like I was just never being real. I'm so like attached to this self-improvement embodiment of Jason, right? And I'm thinking this is what I have to be. I have to put on this persona. But I realized, like, why the fuck should I do that? Like, whatever. Like, if somebody's going to throw shade at me and say something stupid, like I feel like I should just respond how I want to respond. Obviously not being a dick. You know what I mean? Not saying anything stupid.
Just be who you are.
Yeah.
Because crazy thing that happened, because I came here before you. I closed my eyes and I asked God, what should we talk about? And then all I saw was a paintbrush. And then I was like, all right, we talk about
painting over.
Yeah. And then I started digging more deeper, and I was like, let's just be ourselves. Yeah. I think that, and I'm glad you said that.
Whoa, that's the message.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I think it was.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
because when it started, at least this is the way I picked up on what you were saying, is like the message you got from God was to talk about, like literally the topic to talk about was painting over yourself. But didn't you realize him saying that didn't mean that that's the topic to talk about? That just means don't actually do that when you're in this literally in this conversation.
Just be who I am, because I'm getting better as the podcast go, but I'm trying to be whoever I am, and I'm happy that you're talking about an experience of you trying to paint over yourself. Because for Gary Vee being empathetic, it works for him. It just.
Can you? Sorry, I'm really trying to listen. I just want to make sure it's recording. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, but you just nobody's the same.
Exactly.
Nobody's the same. And how I see it is you just got to do whatever you got to do, whatever.
I like that you just said that. So essentially you're saying is I was attempting to be a Gary Vee. I was trying to put on the Gary Vee mask in a sense rather than just being me.
I would say so. Yeah.
Because that makes a lot of sense. Because I could still respond kindly. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna roast me in my comments, maybe I can like make fun of you back, or like you know what I mean?
Some people can't respond kindly. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And this world would be so boring if everybody was the same.
Right.
You just got to be who you are. Yeah. The thing is, when you try to be who you are, that's when the mistakes come. That's when the failures come.
When you try to be what?
Yourself.
When you try to be yourself?
I would say like.
Oh, are you saying like that's when you learn?
I would say that's mostly when you learn, like, hey, this works. Or like, let's say you try to be yourself and it doesn't work. You're like, okay, let me think about it in a different way. Or how I see it is, I think it's just you being scared to be who yourself, and that in self is the failure. Because you going through that, your comment section trying to be empathetic, you tried it, it didn't work out for you. You could either be like, fuck that, like, never gonna do that again, or you could learn from it and be like, hey, that's just not who I am.
You know, as you were saying that, this I'm just want to describe to you the image that played in my head was like, imagine that we all start. So, you know, like a gingerbread man, let's say, that's just like as a generic thing, but it's a cutout, right? It's just a white gingerbread man that you can, let's say you can color it in, right? And we all start off as a white, just plain, clean slate when we're born, right? and all the perspectives that are added into our brain, combined with our genetics and DNA and whatnot, but let's just say for simplicity, all the perspectives that we get are different colors, right? And you can pull out whatever colors you want from everybody else, but eventually it's going to create your own shade, right? And so in this case, let's say Gary Vee is red, right? And that's when or blue for empathy, right? Instead of me adding the blue to my colors, I try to just be blue instead of just letting the message absorb in the way that it needs to absorb. Does that make sense?
Or just trying it out, and if it doesn't work, you learn that it didn't work.
Yeah.
Blue just doesn't go with you.
Yeah. But my point is like, take the message out of it that I want to take out of it.
Yeah.
Don't try to be Gary. Be empathetic. But what empathetic means isn't the same thing for both of us.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's That's why I always say you can't explain to somebody exactly what's going through your head.
You can never.
And then when I'm reading a book now, I'll pick out a sentence and I'll write it in a different way, like 10, 15 times. Because there's so many different ways to see something. And you just, for something like that, like empathy with your comment session.
Yeah.
You should look at it in like four or five different ways and then just try out every way and see what works for you. You just got to take that time with yourself.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
Yeah.
Because everybody just reacts on the first instinct that they have. Because you probably watched that and was like, all right, let me be empathetic to people.
Yeah.
Instead of just grabbing the message, looking at it different ways, and then applying it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like this is still kind of a new thought process for me. So I'm trying to understand where the thought is coming from. I'm trying to make sure it's not coming from ego. But every time I try and look at my hate comments with empathy, or the Gary Vee empathy way, rather, I don't feel good. You know, I take it to heart. I feel shitty, whatever. And I'm like, fuck. But then when I started looking at the comments and like thinking of how I could like respond back in like a funny, silly way, then like I no longer felt that feeling. Well, but was it because I was being real, or was it because my ego thought of a good way to get back at him or be spiteful?
You have to figure that out for yourself. Yeah. And then just responding with like that, like a joke to somebody else, that's just one way of you showing empathy.
Yeah.
You could find so many different ways. But just try it out, see what works for you.
Yeah.
But you failed once, learn from it, don't like get back up.
Yeah, I think the best way to approach it is what you just said, is just to see what works. See how I feel after I make a comment, right? If I make a joke and I feel shitty afterwards, it probably means it's coming from ego. But if I make a joke to somebody else and it feels fine, it's probably because that was coming from a place of empathy and love and just I'm goofing around with you.
It's got to be shitty just looking at mean stuff about you. Like just in general, like it can't be the greatest thing.
Of course. Well, but also it just depends on who you are, right? Because somebody could probably, like in the same sense, somebody could go up to Gary Vee's face and say, "You're fat and ugly," and he would just look at him and smile, right? Because he doesn't believe that about himself, and that's his way of showing empathy, and that's his way of being like, LOL, right? But if you say I'm fat and ugly, I don't believe I'm fat and ugly, but I'll be like, "You're right, dude. I'm fucking massive," right? And just joke around with you. But it's the same response with my own shade.
So just be yourself.
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
Moral story.
Just be yourself.
Be you.
If it seems unnatural to you, I don't want to say that, but like, just do what just comes to you.
Yeah, because there's a difference between what's uncomfortable and what's inauthentic.
Yeah, I would just like try new things out. Just attempt it in the way you would go about it. Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
that's very clarifying for me.
No, anything else that I could help you with?
Yes, therapist. Lauren. What was I gonna say?
I like your think.
What?
Think a little bit.
I was because when you had said "be yourself," immediately I was like, "Oh, another cliche."
It's crazy. The book I'm reading right now is like, if you took like all the cliches and like actually applied it to your life would be near perfect.
Yeah, you know what that's called? The Bible.
That's tough.
But no, that's for real. Like even people who are non-religious or don't believe in God or are not Christians or whatever you believe in. When I was editing the video the other day, I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, when you had said, like, they're cliches for a reason, right? There's cumulatively I don't know, billions of years, but like millions of years.
At least 2,000 years.
At least like 5 years. Cumulatively. There's at least, there's millions of years. Cumulatively. Cucumbers. There's millions of years cumulatively lived by everybody, right? And we all talk with one another. We all communicate with one another. There's millions of deep conversations that have occurred and philosophers that have walked the earth with amazing IQs and experienced everything. And it all ends up going down similar avenues. Be yourself. Treat others how you'd want to be treated. Be kind.
Everything.
Like,
yeah.
Sorry.
No.
But what you said was like, what makes you think that you should just block that off? Like, it's like these people have lived millions of years and they've all come to the same conclusion, and you're gonna just write it off because it sounds corny.
Yeah. It's just that inner thing you have to find with yourself. And I like what you said about the Bible, because every self-help book, every book like The Power of Now, like Atomic Habits, it's all in Proverbs. Not just the Bible, but that one section of the Bible. Everything I've ever learned, you can learn in Proverbs. Yeah. And that's just one chapter out of like 60, 70.
Yeah, I heard, isn't there like I think it's called Bible Hub, where like people can go and comment on it's basically a whole comment section of each line of the Bible and analyzing it. And just that's what I've honestly never checked it out. That's what I heard, but I heard that there's like literally hundreds of meanings from every single line that there is.
Like we were saying, it's just the different focus you have, because we're all different people. Everybody's gonna grab a different focus.
Right.
For sure. But I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Oh,
the hate comments.
Yeah.
What I wanted to say about it is, when you read it and you feel bad, right? Quick little pause. But when you read it and you feel bad, you can use that to just get better. Like learn from, like you read it, it makes you feel bad. It builds up your energy. You could either use it to help yourself or diminish yourself. Because you could believe the lies. But like, I feel like when you get angry, you get this certain energy in your system. So when you read that hate comment, you could either, like, you might have shown empathy, right? And then right after, you didn't feel good, or as good as you thought you will. But over time, if you did that multiple times, then after the 100th time, you might feel like you could be empathetic with everybody, because you're not used to it. Yeah. Because there's one thing, you should definitely be yourself, like without a doubt. Right. But at the same time, you're doing something you weren't used to.
Right. So it's gonna it might even feel inauthentic to a certain point, but
it's all who you want to be. And there's things where it's like, is it worth it or not?
Yeah,
for sure. Do you want to be empathetic? Like, give it a try if you want. Like, I would say try with the comments first, like the joking comments, but try to be empathetic. You're not gonna feel amazing after the first time. Right. It's like working out. The first workout, you're not going to get huge. Right. After like a year working out, then you'll get some serious muscle. So just everything's about consistency, trying new things, and being yourself. Yeah. Be empathetic in the way you can be. Yeah. I just want to go back to that because it just went into my head.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And it makes me think a lot about, because the overarching theme is growing, you know what I mean? Developing yourself from experiences and from not feeling good, right? And so ultimately, whether it's learning from hate comments or learning from feeling shitty about your body, like those negative emotions are absolute necessary factors in the equation. You need to feel shitty when you're inadequate.
I think the better you want to be, the shittier you're gonna feel. Yeah. We still recording? You want me to click it?
No, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, because you feeling shitty looking at your comments, it just made your mind think in a different way than it would have if you didn't look at the comment.
100%. Yeah, I hate the philosophy that a lot of people now have, especially in, modern times, that like we should try and avoid, we should try and prevent everybody from feeling bad when they're inadequate.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole everybody gets a trophy, even if you're in fucking 12th place. It's like, dude, like
big ups.
Big ups, me. Fuck. What the hell was I saying? 12th place. Mm-hmm. If you get trophies from if you get a trophy from being in 12th place, you're now attaching good feelings to being inadequate, right? And if the first place person and the 12th place person get the same reward, the trophy, why the fuck would the first place person want to do anything to work hard?
Yeah. Literally.
What's the motive?
There's nothing.
Right? It's and the flip side of the coin, if you're in 12th place and you have the hunger to be better, how the fuck do you know what better even means?
Yeah.
If everybody's getting a trophy.
There's nothing to strive for.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like, oh, well, press it. Press it again. It's like, oh, well, we shouldn't keep score. Everybody should get a trophy, because we don't want them to feel bad. I understand that the concept it comes from a good place of empathy. Mm-hmm. I don't want you to be in pain. I don't want you to cry when you lose, right? But like, especially with fucking kids, dude, it's like you have to let people feel the shitty feelings that come along with being inadequate. Otherwise, there would be no reason to do anything.
Yeah.
Are you going to try to stop yourself from feeling hungry because it's a feeling of discomfort? No, it's your body's way of telling you, eat, motherfucker. What are you doing? We need to live. Yeah. In the same sense of, if you want to be a better fucking runner and you come in last place in the race, but you get a trophy, what the fuck is that? Why the hell would you want to be any better?
Uh-huh.
There's no point. And why is the first place person going to work hard at all if everybody gets the same thing, right? Do you want to pay Cristiano Ronaldo the same amount to play for Manchester United as me? No, you don't. Why? Because I'm not adequate. I'm not, and I haven't earned it through genetics and through the lack of work. Mm-hmm. Sucks. Things aren't equal, and I get that causes pain too, but you gotta look at the worst of two evils. Because giving everybody a trophy is way fucking worse than the pain people are going to feel when they miss the mark, when they're not good enough. Because then they also have no reason to work hard. Mm-hmm. And when people get this idea of, well, you just shouldn't feel bad when you're inadequate, it's like, what the fuck are you telling people?
It makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Because it's not taught when you feel bad how to work through it.
Right. You just taught that you just shouldn't feel bad.
Yeah. Because I was... one thing that I was trying to do that really taught me to be myself was I felt bad and I was like just trying to change it. And then it was last week, I told you about it. I went to go work out and I was like, I don't want to work out. Like I feel shitty. I didn't have the best breakfast. Like I don't want to work out. But right when I got to the gym, I had one of the best workouts ever. I had such a good workout. I
remember you telling me that.
Yeah. And it just like me feeling bad when I hit the gym, I was like, all right, I'm going to kill it. Like I'm here.
Right.
It's that self-talk. My self-talk was like, I don't want to be here, but I'm still here. Like that gives you so much energy.
You feel like a fucking animal. I talked about this on my podcast with Cal. Is like when I first started separating. In my eyes, this is where my confidence originated from. And I talked about this a lot again with Cal. But what I told him was, when I started to feel confident was when I started to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning and hit the gym right away. Because I began to do things I know 99% of kids my age weren't willing to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get what 99% of people aren't going to get. I'm going to be in way better shape. I'm going to be much happier and healthier, right? I'm willing to put in disproportionate amount of work, so I'm going to get a disproportionate outcome. Mm-hmm. That's just how it works. Yes, environmental factors, genetics, DNA, that plays a role. I feel you. I understand, right? But I've also had my fair share of shit. You know what I mean? It's not that like I'm just some fucking perfect slate. Well, he lives in America as a white male, so he can work out at 4 a.m. Like, I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I think what it really affects is how you think. Yeah. But like for me, I don't know how you look at it, but like for me, when I was at the gym and I didn't want to be, I was just looking at myself. Like it gave me the energy knowing that I don't want to do it, and I did it. It was just like...
That's confidence, bro.
For sure.
When you tell yourself you're going to do it and you follow through, regardless of how the fuck you feel, of course you're going to be confident.
And then once I go to the next thing when I don't want to work out, when I don't want to go up to somebody, when that struggle comes again, it's going to be so much easier.
So much easier. It's the same thing as building a muscle.
Those things aren't taught to little kids.
Yeah.
It's not.
And that's the whole thing with fucking getting a 12th place trophy, dude.
Like I wasn't taught that. Like if I felt bad, it was like stay at home, like lay in bed until you feel better.
Yeah.
Like no, like if you feel bad, go through it. Like not every day is going to be perfect.
Dude, it's like it especially with people that don't really know a whole lot about the autobiographies of people's lives, right? That are successful. It's like people have I had the delusion myself. People have the delusion that the people who do stuff every day, the people who like work out every day, for example, want to work out every day. And that's why they're in good shape, because they just have this magic gene that tells them, today I feel like working out. And they get it every morning at the top of the day. And they're like, this is great. I can't wait to work out.
It's just wired in their DNA.
You fucking idiots. Go ask any of those people if they want to work out every single day. The answer is no. We feel the same pain that you feel. It's called lactic acid in your muscles. It sucks. It hurts. It's annoying. You think it feels great to have your heartbeat at 180 beats per minute and sweating your ass off, feeling like you're about to die on the cardio machine? No. Does it feel good sitting in the sauna for 20 minutes? No. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't feel good for any of these people. You think we're motivated? Like, fucking can't wait for that, you know?
I mean, the thing that really helped me with that is what I told you I've been listening to a lot of motivational videos, but it's like when I got home, I was just going to lay in bed until the podcast started. But then I called you and I was like, hold up. We had a pretty good conversation. I was like, let me go read a little bit, meditate, get my mind in the right state. And it was just because I talked to you. And it's like the influences around you.
So true. So true. I actually thought about that same exact thought process when I forget. There's been so many times where like you've called me, or Cal will call me, or somebody that like inspires me, that calls me and has high standards for themselves, where I'll be laying in bed just on my phone, and the second you call me, I get up and I just start to do something, because I'm like, it's as part of it definitely is like I don't want to look like a bum, but the other part of it is like reminder of your standard, reminder of your standard. It's like I know that like if I go out to eat with you versus if I go out to eat some random person on the street, chances are if I'm out to eat with you, I'm going to order something way healthier, because it's a reminder of your standard for yourself, right? And it, again, the feeling of inadequacy.
I think what you said when you were like, I feel like a bum, that feeling is there because you should be doing better.
It's there to serve you. It's there to serve you. Why do you cry after a breakup? Because you're not supposed to get into all these breakups.
It's true. You did something wrong.
Something went wrong, right? If you didn't feel shitty when things went wrong, we'd all be dead. We'd all just be able to fucking put our heads inside a stove and be like, there's no pain, right? Because your body is not going to tell you when things are going wrong. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's crazy how similar the body is to the mind, and I'm really learning that.
Oh, dude, it happens. I notice that every single time, especially like with how often you can relate ideologies and philosophies to the gym.
No, one thing that I read today was like, let me see the big water, the full water. Yeah. How much do you think this weighs? I watched this like 10 minutes ago.
A pound.
A pound. Okay. So if I hold it like this for like a minute, my arm would be fine, right?
Yeah.
If I hold it for like an hour, I'll start to have pain right here.
Yeah.
If I hold it all day, my arm will go numb and start being paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
The same things with your mind when you start worrying about things.
Oh.
I don't take credit for that.
That's some wise words. Holy fuck.
But it's crazy how your body is so similar to your mind.
Yeah.
So I think the gym really helps people is because
that's what I was just about to say.
Yeah, their body is so similar to the mind. So when you start focusing on your body, it just leads to you focusing on your mind.
100%. It's tangible. You can see it. You can see the growth. You understand that the pain equals results. You understand that discipline equals dopamine, right? You understand that. It's so tangible. Like when I put myself through pain, on the other end of that is fucking amazing feelings and a way better life. Going through the things you know you don't want to do, but you know are good for you, equals good feelings. And that's how your brain wires you to want to do more and be better and fulfill your potential.
I'm not going cap. I didn't hear the last 30 seconds what you just said.
That's okay. The other thing that I want to talk about is it's a tangent to the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
People go to the gym and they realize like it's the same thing as your mind. Like you go through pain, you have discipline, and your life is better as a result of that. But it's the same thing with your room, right? I talked about this with one of my clients. We were talking about how when you get your room clean, you are able to distinguish between chaos and order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what chaos looks like and feels like, and you know what order looks like and feels like, right? And you could see it. It's your room.
Mm-hmm.
But then in real life, you now understand the difference between chaos and order, right? Maybe it's unconscious, maybe it's subconscious, like you don't really understand like how or why things are happening the way they are, but they're happening. It's because you now understand at a deep neurological level that there's a difference between disorder and order, right? And to further that, like the example I gave was, imagine that your room's sort of clean, right? It's your bed's made maybe, right? You have your stuff kind of in their own bins or whatever, but there's a mess underneath your bed, right? But you don't want to look at that mess, right? Maybe there's stuff under there that you need to sort through. You have to dust, you have to clean. Like there's a whole bunch of demons in there.
You got to spend at least 2 minutes under that bed.
Yeah. But there's a whole splue. Is that a word? There's a whole slew. There's a whole slew.
Splue.
I will use splue. There's a whole slew of things underneath that bed that are going to be annoying to take care of, right? But when you can go after those things, right, and attack those things that you need to get done, in reality, in real life, quote unquote, what happens is you no longer let things go under the rug. You're not willfully blind to things anymore, right? Because you can be willfully blind to the things under your bed. But once you attack those tangibly, then in real life, when you have a problem in your relationship that you just don't want to address because you don't want to have that conversation, but you're being willfully blind to it, you won't be. Because you now understand the difference between chaos and order.
Does it like make your mind have to like search for answers? Kind of like you have to like look under your bed to see if it's dirty or not.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, yeah. So like when the problem arises, you have to search for the answer. You have to search for something you can't see.
The truth. That's what it always is.
Yeah. It's crazy. Your room and the gym, two most important things.
I mean, and that's why Jordan Peterson always, and it's like, it sounds so right. Actually, I want to know your opinion on this phrase.
Yeah.
Because it just feels so right. And Jordan Peterson, he's dropped this a million times, but
I probably have heard it, but
he says, "How are you going to criticize the world when you can't even have your room in order?"
Yeah.
Why does that feel so right?
It's like saying how you're going to do the big things if you can't do the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Simple enough, but yeah.
And that's another, whatever, I don't know what it's called, a phrase, thing that everybody just.
It sounds like a cliche.
Yeah, cliche. That's what it is.
Yeah.
No, but one thing that's helped me is just being me throughout the day when I'm by myself helps me be myself when I'm around different people.
Agreed. Wow, I never even actually thought about that.
Because like I want to be outside reading a book. So when I do that and I'm being myself, when I hang out with people and they start talking about some like nonsense I don't care about, I have the courage to say I don't care about it.
Because you're being real with yourself when you're by yourself.
Yeah, instead of me going on like YouTube and watching some like dumb video about some drama that happened on.
And you know that's not what you want anyways.
Yeah, but I'm letting it be in my head rather than me. It was like a week ago. Me saying no to that and yes to like doing what I want to do. Once I get in a conversation, I'm like, and they say something I don't care about, I'm like, all right, like I'm leaving. I'll either say to their face like I don't care, or I'll just walk away.
There's serious power in that, man. And I think a lot of people need to hear that message. Because, like, I know so many people that are just, they always fall for the fucking FOMO. Fear of missing out. They always find themselves in a place where, like, they're willing to settle for people that they don't want to spend time with and know that their influence isn't good for them just because they think that that's what they need.
Yeah.
But if they could spend time alone and be authentic alone, if you want to go outside and read a fucking book, you go outside and read a fucking book.
Yeah.
You don't try and do things that aren't aligned with who you feel you are. Then when you are with other people, you're going to be who you are because you now understand what that's like.
I think for me, it's like I could feel really, really, really good by myself.
Right.
So I have that standard for myself. Like I should feel like this. And when I hang out with people and they lower, like I feel worse, why would I spend time with you when I can go by myself and just have a better time?
It sounds so logical, but it's obviously, it's very hard. It's very, very difficult, especially when you have this idea that, again, sound like a broken record, when you have this idea that what somebody else's version of a good time is the same as yours. Mm-hmm. If you're an introvert, what you define as a good time is not going to be the same as an extrovert. You're not going to like going on parties and being in massive dance circles. Mm-hmm. You're not. And that's okay. But when you try and put that mask on and paint a picture over yourself and try and live out the reality that somebody else would want to live out, that's when depression's going to come.
That's when you're not learning.
Yeah.
I just said that. I don't know. Yeah. Because you're trying to be somebody you're not. And when you do that, you're not learning.
How are you supposed to learn anything? All you know is that whatever you're doing isn't real. That's all you know.
Do you even know that? That's the thing. You're chasing something you don't even want.
That's so true. Most people are bots. They're unconscious. Not you, fellow listeners. He's a bot. He's a bot. Look at him. That's a bot.
Shout out.
Shout out to all the people listening to the Jason Scalora Show.
Were you gonna say something?
No.
Interesting.
No. One thing that popped in my head. I'm trying to. Oh, when you started talking about, I was like, fucking.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, we did.
Keep it going. Keep it going, boy.
He drank the whole pot. Which, sorry about that.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Everything's happening right now.
I don't know what's going on. My brain's in shambles. When you talked about how when you're real and authentic with yourself, mm-hmm. Now you know how to be real and authentic with other people. It gave me the same exact... It reminded me of the philosophy behind self-love and loving others, right? Because it's such a cliche, right? You can't love anybody else unless you love yourself, but it's true, right? Because the reality is, until you love yourself, you're not going to be yourself.
Can I add something to that before you go?
Yeah.
When I don't allow myself to do bad things or like, waste time like watching Netflix or whatever, and I'm around different people and I love myself not to allow myself to do that. When I'm around people, I love myself so much and I have so much love to give that I won't allow them to do those bad things.
Huh.
And it's that's like when I call you and you're laying in bed and you're like, oh shit, I got to go do something. That's because that's just straight love.
Yeah.
And love is painful. That's why you feel bad. That's why you're like, oh, I'm being a bum right now.
Yeah.
And just that is painful, but that's just straight coming from love.
Yeah. And you should feel the pain. You should feel the pain.
Yeah. Life is struggle.
Dude, it says in every good religious scripture.
Sorry.
Life is suffering.
Yeah.
It says that everywhere. Everyone knows it. Everybody gets sick and everybody dies. Life is pain. Mm-hmm. But for us to walk around and try and act like we shouldn't be feeling the pain that we're feeling when things don't go the way that we want them to go and think that they should go, we would have no drive to be better human beings. We would have no drive to make the world a better place. We wouldn't be around anymore. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't. Unless we had that pain. Pain is here to serve you. It's not going to feel good. It's painful.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel good.
For me, when I started to learn from the pain, started like work on myself and instead of just like, oh, why do I feel shitty? Yeah. Instead like learn from it. The pain lasts so much shorter. Like before I could be thinking in my head about why do I feel this way for like 4 or 5 hours. But once I'm like, all right, I understand I feel this way. I accept it. Let me go do something that could either change it. Let me go do something that like I know I like to do. And even though it might not change my mood, I'm getting something productive done. Once I do that, I have no time to think about it.
Right.
I have no time to worry about whatever
What you focus on, you're going to feel. And if you focus on all the things that you cannot control and what has happened to you and what will happen to you and how life sucks in this many ways, you're going to feel that. You're going to resonate with that vibration in your body. Once you decide to focus on the things you can control, that's when you'll feel good. Because A, you'll be in control, but B, you'll be making things better. And C, you won't be focusing on anything else but that.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just because all you're going to be thinking about is how you can make yourself better. And like, that's just such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Just fuck these waters.
Yeah, facts.
No, just when you know each and every day you're waking up to be a better person than yesterday, it just gives you so much energy to attack the day and just
You know something that it's weird. It's like a it's almost like a pre-workout for my brain. It's weird.
What? I'm interested in this.
Caffeine. No, I'm kidding. You're like, that's actually what that is. No, I heard a quote from Jordan Peterson, and he talks about how when you're in your 20s, Jordan Peterson talks about when you're in your 20s, what you should be doing with your time is expanding yourself to the max, seeing what your limits are. Figure out. He talks about, he says, how much can you work? Can you work 16 hours a day flat out? Can you work 8 hours, 3 hours? How much do you need to socialize? How much can you do this? How far can you push yourself? Right? And I just keep thinking about that. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I every time that thing runs through my brain, immediately, without even thinking, I'm in action. I'm doing the things I know I should be doing. Right? It's actually wild.
It's a good word. Good word. I forgot the quote, but anxiety weighs down the heart, but a good word cheers it up. Said that a few podcasts ago, or maybe it was the last
I think you
one.
did. No, but I was going to say it sounds very familiar.
Yeah, good word.
Words are spells.
You put that value into that word too, and plus, like, the first time you heard that phrase, you were probably like doing something productive, or like it made you go do something.
Well, it's funny actually. When I first heard that phrase, is I was cleaning my room, listening to Jordan Peterson. As ironic that it is.
So when you hear it again, you're like, you kind of attach that moment. So yeah,
What the fuck?
Yeah, you
conditioning.
Yeah, because you're like, your subconscious goes to whatever it happened the most. Like, you get it. So if one time you listen to that quote and it made you feel good, the next time you hear it, your subconscious is like, all right, this quote makes us feel good. And then, but the thing is, your conscious thought leads your subconscious thoughts. So you have to consciously listen to it. Consciously, find that, where that quote is, listen to it. And that conscious, behavior leads your subconscious to the happy thoughts. To the thoughts of you doing better.
Right.
But that's kind of that's a tough area to be in, because you don't want to attach a bad habit with a good feeling.
Yeah.
I love when you make that face. Just thinking.
It's just so wild to me. Especially when you say things like that, and it just connects so many dots together. Right? Just the basic of psychology. Classic conditioning. You ring a bell, you give the dog food. You ring a bell, you give the dog food. You ring a bell, you give the dog food. Eventually, when you ring the bell, the dog starts to salivate. Conditioning. But you could do that with anything. Not anything, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
You can do that with yourself. Why wouldn't you do that with yourself?
Yeah.
Why would you just life isn't just luck. You can't just I heard you can't just stumble upon being wealthy.
You know what the percentage of that is? Zero.
Yeah. It's set that intention, go after it, be yourself. Whatever happens, happens. At least you know you did all you could in the way that you wanted to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it just blows my mind, dude. I mean, we talked about this in the first episode. It blows my mind to know that people are out there, and we all know we're going to die. Everybody's aware of their mortality. Everyone. And you know that there is a certain extent of your life. You know that there's a certain amount that you're leaving on the table, rather. You're well aware.
Yeah, because
we all know we're going to die.
Because they don't focus on it. The environment, the people around them, makes them not focus on it.
It's literally brainwashing.
Like
that's all it is.
When I see you, I'm like, all right, I got to be on my shit.
Agreed, dude.
One day the cameras will be chilling and the mics and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, but it's
just really crazy to think about the fact that we all know we're gonna die, and we all know that there's our potential on the table, and yet we're gonna do nothing about it. We're still gonna go do a 9 to 5 and sit at a cubicle and come home and eat Cheetos and watch Netflix and repeat. Like it I don't know. Just for me personally, I'd rather be dead.
Yeah, like literally. Like if I didn't think how I thought right now,
I mean, it makes me. I feel so much compassion for those people. Like I understand life is hard, and like there's certain things that brought them into that circumstance. I just can't. I can't wrap my brain around it, knowing that even if there's such a small thing you can do, right? You're wrapped up with college student loans. You're wrapped up. You have a family. You have a ton of debt. You have all this stuff going on with your relationships. Your family's passed. Like some of your family members have passed away. Like shit's really hard, and I get it. But you know that there are things you can do and you're not doing it.
Yeah.
That's what doesn't make sense to me, right? Even if it's making your bed in the morning, and that's where you have to start.
Yeah.
Even if it's working out for 10 minutes a day, and that's where you start to make your life better, to be happier, to be more fulfilled, and you're not doing it, that's what doesn't make any sense to me.
Find the answers to that. Maybe that's on you. We could find the answer to. Maybe that's a question. That's a very empowering question.
It's the question. No. Why do some people do things that are good for them and other people don't?
A different answer for... Is there a different answer for everybody? Who knows? But no, the one of the worst things, this is one of the only things that actually make me mad is like when I see an old person that's like not confident in themselves. Because like you got kids, grandkids, like you live this whole life, but you're still like that timid person that doesn't want to like... Kind of like what you're saying, like...
It's wisdom, right? And it's like, it blows my mind to think, especially with people with high IQs, right? Mm-hmm. You would assume people with higher IQs would be happier because they're smarter, therefore they can figure it out easier.
Answer the questions faster.
Nope. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. It's not the case at all. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And that you not understanding it is a gift.
Yes, it is.
Everything's a gift.
And the pain is the gift. The pain of regret. The pain of your unrealized potential. That's a gift to you, telling you, get your shit together. That's what that is.
I heard another quote. It was some doctor. He was saying, everything that's ever happened, like bad to you and all the like bad stuff that ever happened to your life, imagine it's a different side of you, of your inner self that loves you more than anything in this world. And all it's trying to do is make you better than you are right now. He didn't say exactly like that. That's kind of how I took it.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's all about how you look at life. Because you could look at life right there and listen to that quote every single day. Or you can listen to, I don't know, like Ice Road Truckers every single night. It's just a difference in, I don't know, it's just not taught. If you want something in life, go get it. Because I believe in the impossible, and it's just not taught. Like, I know so many people, like, majority of people are like, they don't think the impossible can happen.
And they don't understand. I think the fundamental reason is that they don't understand that perspective is a choice. Because you can choose to believe the impossible, or you can choose to believe that everybody's boxed in.
I mean, personally, I always thought in the impossible, so I don't know how it would be going from thinking only the possible to the impossible.
I mean, that's the road I took.
Like, what was it? What was the shift? Just you working on yourself?
Doing things I don't want to do consistently and getting results I never thought would be imaginable.
So you got the results, and then that's when your brain was like, okay.
But it stems from faith.
Yeah, for sure. That's the only reason why I think in the impossible.
Why work hard if you don't know that there's and you could say whether or not you believe in God or whatever, you act out faith. You know how I know that?
Yeah, for sure.
You put gas in your tank. You're assuming your car is going to be around tomorrow. That's an act of faith. Everything you do, 99% of the things you do is within an act of faith. It's of the assumption that you'll be around tomorrow. That God is going to give you another day, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
It's all an act of faith.
Everything.
Chew on that. Hit that red button for me, baby.
Sheesh.
That was a good way to end it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to episode number probably 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or something like that. I'm thinking 12. My guess is 12. We'll see. Maybe I look stupid right now. You look so dumb right now.
Peace out.
Peace.